Hello, film fans! What up? It's your boy Tay, and this is Tay Talks Talkies. 2022 was an amazing year for movies. We had so many good ones. I want to rank the top 15 best ones. When I say best, I simply mean the ones that I felt like I will watch for the rest of my life. Not necessarily the most technical, not necessarily the best acted, but all these components come together for a synergetic effect, and that is what makes a movie great or not great. So, without further ado, let's rank the top 15 movies from 2022. I want to preface this list with the fact that there are 3 films from this past year that I unfortunately have not gotten around to seeing yet. That's Edward Berger's All Quiet on the Western Front, starring Daniel Bruhl, who I love, so I'm sure it's amazing. I just don't rush to go watch war films. Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave. I love Korean film. And making her film debut, Charlotte Wells' After Sun. I just wasn't going to rush to see this one because I knew it would break me. Now, let's get to my honorable mentions. Films that just weren't up to snuff with making my top 15, but are certainly worth watching, and I want to mention them. Starting with Ty West's X and Pearl, 2 films that are both worth watching, 2 films that are both very different, yet extremely similar. And Ty West, you are the man for doing what you're doing. And if you make Maxine high quality like you've made these other 2, you are solidified GOAT status for making not only a high quality trilogy, but making it within a 2-year span. David Leitch's Bullet Train. This guy is a stunt professional himself, so he knows how to make compelling action. And Bullet Train is pure adrenaline fun. And we need more Tangerine and Lemon. And Zach Kreger. From The Whitest Kids You Know, I grew up with this guy watching that comedy troupe. R.I.P. Trevor. He makes his film debut with Barbarian, and it was good. It was exactly what I look for in cinema, which is originality, which is grip me, make me invested. And Barbarian did it. Now to the meat of the list. We're starting at 15 with Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, starring Austin Butler. Austin Butler, without him, this film would be nothing. Tom Hanks' performance is whatever. It's a little bit over the top if you ask me, but I'm sure that's what Baz Luhrmann instructed Tom Hanks to do. But Austin Butler's utter embodiment of the king of rock and roll himself is worth watching alone, and Baz Luhrmann surely makes some interesting films, I'll say that. My man has a unique style to his films. If you've seen Great Gatsby, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Next, at 14, we have S.S. Rajamouli's RRR. Rise, resist, revolt, baby. Yeah! This movie's basically like a live action anime. It's absurd in its action, but it works so well. And at $60 million, hopefully it shows American Hollywood that you can make a 3-hour-long epic film on less than $100 million budget. Some of these Marvel movies have 3, 4, 5 times the budget as RRR. And where's the money going? In people's pockets. Next, at 13, we have Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg, the legend, the GOAT, the OG. Basically, this film is a loose biopic about his own life. And with great performances from Michelle Williams, Paul Dano, and Judd Hirsch, I think this film is going to stand up to the test of time. Next, at number 12, after 16 long years of not making any movies, Todd Field is back. He wrote and directed Tar, starring Cate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr, a composer, and this film was captivating, to say the least. Mostly because of Cate Blanchett being essentially the greatest actress to ever grace a screen. This woman cannot do wrong, and she seems to improve her performances upon each film, and it's truly incredible. Next, at 11, we have Damien Chazelle's Babylon. Damien Chazelle is a filmmaker I love. I loved Whiplash more than I love most things in life, and I love La La Land. And I really had a lot of excitement for Babylon. And I think Babylon was really, really good. But I was hoping it would be all-time great. But it's good enough to be my 11th best film. of 2022, and Margot Robbie is phenomenal. This just hammered home the point that she is unstoppable, and Brad Pitt is the man as usual. Next at number 10, we have Rian Johnson's Glass Onion, the follow-up film to Knives Out, and although it wasn't as good as Knives Out in my opinion, it was still a really well-made film. The writing, sure, you can find holes. If you fill the writing with water, you'll see some water squirting out, okay? But when you really ignore it and just focus on how captivating the world that Rian Johnson lays out in front of you is, how captivating the characters, the actors that inhabit these characters, how rich they bring them to life, it all comes together in a really mesmerizing fashion on screen, and I found Glass Onion to be very enthralling, with its weakest point being its narrative holes, but you really have to scrutinize it, and even then, you kind of sound like a hater. Next at number 9, we have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And although I wish I could put this higher, I just feel like the rewatchability of this film isn't as high as the others because it is a very somber tale. It's a very serious tale. And it's a very heart-wrenching tale. So I'm not going to jump into this movie a lot in the future, but goddamn is it amazing. Technically, it is some of the most impressive stop-motion animation we've ever seen. And I love, absolutely adore stop-motion animation as an art form. The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite films of all time. And this take on that classic tale is surely in the top 5 stop-motion animation films of all time. At number 8, we have James Cameron's Avatar, The Way of Water, the follow-up 13 years later from his original film, the film that completely reinvented what movies are. And there's going to be people that hate on Avatar. There's going to be people that say it's stupid. There's going to be people that critique its narrative. My question to those people would be, what would you have done? What brilliant story would you have came up with? Because I found Avatar 2 to be different than what I expected in the best way possible. I thought they would do some typical tropes, and they did, but they did it in a way that felt original. It felt fresh, didn't feel contrived, and I've heard people say that they were bored at certain parts of the film. Well, that just means you weren't losing yourself in the world that James Cameron so meticulously crafted. So, Avatar, The Way of Water, I am excited about the future installments, and this film, from not only a visual perspective, which of course the visuals are the meat of this sandwich, but the narrative really surprised me with how deep it really got and how many emotions it really pulled out of me. So, Avatar, The Way of Water. Next, at number 7, we have Matt Reeves' The Batman. So many people hated on Robert Pattinson's casting when it was first originally announced. Well, all those people can kick rocks because Robert Pattinson was phenomenal. He absolutely killed it as a young Bruce Wayne. I've heard critiques that he's a good Batman, but not a good Bruce Wayne. Well, guess what, buddy? The young Bruce Wayne, the one that he's portraying in this film, isn't supposed to be that jovial, lighthearted playboy just yet. Because guess what? It took him time to figure that out. He had to go through that depressed emo, that I shop at Hot Topic phase to figure out, oh, I have to play that part in public. That Christian Bale Bruce Wayne. I have to become that Christian Bale Bruce Wayne in public to uphold the image. He doesn't figure that out until later. So if that's a critique of this film for you, sorry, you're wrong. The sound design is the most impressive sound design of the entire year. The way that the sound is crafted enhanced the film to a degree that I didn't really think sound could do, but it made me realize sound is almost as important as the visuals. Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin, transcendent. The Batmobile scene, transcendent. Paul Dano as the Riddler, goddamn good. Really goddamn good. And that's Paul Dano's second appearance on this list. The Batman was fantastic from all aspects, from acting to execution to visuals to sound to set design, everything. Everything was perfect about this film, and although it's a much different film than Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, I think it's of comparable quality. Of comparable quality to that film. Because people, wake up. Batman started as a detective. Detective Comics, Batman's origin is being the world's greatest detective. So I'm glad that Matt Reeves, a true fan, realized this and brought it to fruition with perfect execution. And I'm excited for the future installments. Next, at number 6, we have Robert Eggers' The Northman. Last entry was The Batman. Now we have The Northman. It was a great year for movies titled The Blank Man. With Robert Eggers' last movie being The Lighthouse, I expected big things. The Lighthouse was a perfect movie. And The Northman comes damn close, but it just felt like there was something that wasn't quite living up to what The Lighthouse was, but it was still amazing, still good enough to be my 6th best movie of the year. And that says a lot when we look at the movies that this movie's being ranked ahead of. Alexander Skarsgård in this movie was pure perfection. This guy was a Viking. The accuracy I felt while watching this movie, it felt like I was really back, whenever that time is, watching real life Vikings do what they do. Alexander Skarsgård fully inhabited that world. And of course, Miss Taylor-Joy was fantastic as always. It's a Taylor thing. And if you love a good vengeance tale, you will love The Northman. Next at number 5, this is a movie that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Mark Mylod's The Menu. Mark Mylod is the same guy that directed Ali G in the House 20 years ago. And now 20 years later, he's making a masterpiece. Of course, I have to give credit where credit's due. Mr. Ralph Fiennes is the finest actor in all the land. This guy can do no wrong. Voldemort himself deserves some Oscar attention for this performance as Chef. Chef is one of them characters that can be, just like the cuisine he's preparing, can be dissected and chopped in a million little pieces and looked at because he's such a complex and dynamic character. And of course, I have to mention Bae, yet again, making back-to-back appearances on this list, Miss Anya Taylor-Joy. She can do no wrong. She is amazing. She is beautiful. She is love. She is life. I love you, Anya Taylor-Joy. But in a time where so many people want to give their commentary about social hierarchy, about classism, about the difference between being rich and the difference of being poor, the greatest film I can think of that's ever done this is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. But this film does a damn good job without beating you over the head with these obvious motifs. It does such a brilliant job subtly making you feel what classism is. How so much of what the rich do is bullshit. Bullshit that they don't even care about themselves, but that make you feel like you should care even though you shouldn't. That's the brilliance of The Menu, and I loved it. Next, at number 4, we have Jordan Peele's Nope. Jordan Peele is a filmmaker who I have grown to consider a master. This guy, from his last couple of films, Get Out, one of the greatest thriller horrors of all time. Then we have Us, which wasn't as good as Get Out, but that's because Get Out is pure perfection. So trying to chase that pure perfection, you're bound to fall short. And he did with Us, but Us is still worth rewatching. It's a really good film. Then he came out with Nope, and Nope is a film that will last forever. I think this is a movie that people will watch in 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, if they're still watching movies then. The original take he had on the UFO concept was invigorating, it was refreshing, and it was enthralling. I felt invested in what was going on. And Daniel Kaluuya, his partnership with Daniel Kaluuya is proving to be one of those partnerships in cinema that just makes sense, like spaghetti and meatballs, like Scorsese and De Niro. This film is original. This film is beautiful to look at. The actors all bring their A games. And Peele is really trying to make a statement. He's really trying to talk about a concept that not many people talk about. The concept of spectacle and how much we're willing to sacrifice just to observe. And it's a great example of subversion of expectations. I've talked to some people who didn't enjoy the film nearly as much as I feel like they should have because they were expecting something different. They were expecting there to be a traditional alien story there. And that's where their discontent for the film comes from. It doesn't come from a poor quality of the film itself. It comes from expectations not being met. And Peele so brilliantly made commentary about that through his film itself. And hopefully it forces people to really think about what expectations do to us. They tamper so many of our experiences in life because if we go into it with expectations and it doesn't meet our expectations, guess what? We're going to feel like we didn't enjoy it properly, even though we should have. That's why it's important to shut your brain off and just try to go into things blank. And if you do that with Nope, I think you'll truly experience it the way it should be. And you know a movie's memorable when you can't look at a wacky inflatable arm guy without thinking of that movie. Or chimpanzees for that matter, or balloons for that matter, or night skies for that matter. Pretty memorable movie. Next at number 3, we have Martin McDonagh's The Banshees of Inisherin. This film is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with this movie anywhere. From a visuals perspective, the cinematography, all of the costumes, all of the blocking, it's all fantastic. From an acting perspective, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson are giving 2 of their best performances ever. And I'm sure Colin Farrell is gonna get Oscar buzz for this performance. We have Barry Keoghan embodying that Stanislavski motto of there's no small parts, only small actors. This guy took a small part and honestly might be my favorite part of the whole movie. It so perfectly captured the beauty of Ireland, and it honestly really forces you to have to live back then in a time where there was isolation everywhere, in a time where there was no way to stimulate your mind except for your imagination and your hands, and you had to go actually do stuff. You couldn't just turn the TV on. You couldn't just throw a record on. If you wanted to hear music, you had to go sing music. You had to go hear someone sing music. It brought you to that time and it made you live there for 2 hours. And the ending is the type of ending that might leave a lot of people dissatisfied. But that's the beauty of endings like that. They leave it open. They leave it, you can breathe and you can really feel the ending instead of having it slammed in your face like so many movies do and like so many simpletons want their movies to do. No offense if you're that type of person. I'm just saying, use your brain a little bit. But yes, similar to how you can't look at wacky inflatable arm guys or chimpanzees without thinking of Nope, you will not be able to stare at a severed finger or a donkey without thinking of The Banshees of Inisherin. Next at number 2, we have a movie that is the pure embodiment of originality. We have Everything Everywhere All at Once by the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Shiner, and it is fantastic. It is perfection. It's hilarious to think that this movie was in theaters at the same time, essentially, as Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a film that was supposed to be exploring the concept of multiverses, of parallel dimensions, but that did a poor job doing it. Blech. Then we have Everything Everywhere All at Once, which took that concept and ran with it and had a blast with it. Literally hot dog fingers smacking you in the face. Just ran with that, man. This film is so amazing. It's everything you want movies to be. It's original. It's well acted. Michelle Yeoh was perfect. And this man hasn't been in movies for like 30 years and he just won Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. Ki Kwan, this guy was amazing. Michelle Yeoh and him, their chemistry was palpable. You could cut it with a knife. Jamie Lee Curtis was amazing. Everything about this movie was amazing. The kung fu choreography. Yes, kung fu choreography in a movie about existentialism. It's insane. This movie is everything movies should be. Original, beautiful, makes you feel things. It's funny. I mean, God, can I sing any more praise for this movie? It's perfection. And you will never look at Googly Eyes or an Everything Bagel ever the same ever again. But although it's amazing, it's not good enough to top my list. It's not strong enough to dethrone this champion, this number 1 of 2022. And you've probably guessed it by now because it's the only movie I haven't named. At number 1, I am talking about Top Gun Maverick. Tom Cruise, the king of Hollywood. This guy does it all. Not only is he a compelling actor, But this guy does all of his own stunts and does them more epic than I've ever seen. The guy flew his own jets in this movie. What other actors going through these lengths? I mean, Cate Blanchett, she learned how to compose for Tar. That's amazing. But Tom Cruise was flying jets in this movie. This movie is everything that movies should be. They're exhilarating. They make you feel alive. They make you feel on the edge of your seat. They make you feel like magic can happen. The music, the sound, the epicness of the jet scenes, it all came together to make one of the most unique, one of the most enthralling, one of the most exhilarating experiences I've ever had in a theater. Miles Teller was amazing. The stuff with Val Kilmer, really touching, especially when you think about the fact it's pretty real. The guy can't talk. I mean, it hits home hard, and they pay homage to him in such a strong fashion. They pay homage to the fictional character Goose. Jennifer Connelly's a babe. She's great. And my man Hangman, my main man Hangman. This character arc was so perfect. So perfect. That ending, so cathartic. Joseph Kosinski and Tom Cruise came together to make cinema magic. To me, a truly perfect movie not only excels from every technical standpoint, so the acting, the cinematography, all the different camera tricks, the narrative, all these important things, they all have to be 10 out of 10, firing on all cylinders, perfect. The soundtrack, the sound design, everything about this movie is just impeccable. I was on the edge of my seat throughout the entire movie, and my only complaint about Top Gun Maverick is that I didn't go and see it more times in theater, because damn was that one of the most, if not the most, epic experiences I've ever had sitting in a movie seat. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys. That's my top 15 for 2022. It was an amazing year for movies. I think we saw some great things happening within the film industry in 2022. A lot of films that were designed for Oscar nominations fell flat. We saw movies that are just using social topics to bait votes for nominations. We saw those films fall flat. And I think that's a great sign for the movie industry and where it's all going. And I think people are fed up with movies trying to teach them about things. That's not what movies are supposed to do. Movies are supposed to show us things, capture our imagination, and then we, the viewer, learn about life through that experience. And it's that simple. But that's 2022, baby. Onward to 2023. I am very excited about what this year holds. Comment what you guys think, what movies you have as your top. Let me know what you think about my list. I love hearing criticisms as well as compliments, so bring them. Subscribe if you haven't to stay updated with all of my posts, and I will see you guys soon. Take